So this is the, I just want to recap or revisit, okay, what we just discussed, because there's a whole Ariba which I try to give overview what we are gonna learn in these trainings and all. Okay, so this is all upstream. I started with that, okay, and then I switched to downstream, and then we have switched to standalone for direct procurement for commerce automation or supply chain collaboration. Okay, so this is the whole. Anybody has any doubt or anything you want to have, like quick recap?
A quick recap is a good idea.
Okay, okay. So if we start with Ariba upstream, we have, in short, we have small modules called supplier lifecycle performance. These are responsible for your onboarding of a vendor, okay, their certificate management, their qualification management, everything. Okay, so this is what the SLP is all about. Okay, your vendor will try to be shape up, okay, in your Ariba, all of your, all of your source of truth, okay, of the data for S4 HANA, those are actually getting migrated to SLP. Just think, I am from vendor onboarding team. I deal with, for example, 20 vendors in a day. I want to onboard them, right, on my platform. Just think, I'm from automotive industry. I am I need to have some vendors which are constantly changing, or they have some issues. Okay, so they need some platform, because switching the data or trying to have the data directly on S4 HANA can be cumbersome. Okay, so Ariba gives you a kind of a feature called SLP, Supplier Lifecycle Performance Management, to have all of your vendor onboarding processes easily. Okay, it's very UI driven. Okay, it is not having so much of cumbersome. Like, obviously configuration can be cumbersome, but as an end user, it is not so much cumbersome. Okay, so that is all about SLP we just talked about in half an session back. So then we have sourcing. Okay, so just think, now we have all the vendors in place. Okay, we want to shift to our RFIs. We want to know more about our vendors in the kind of RFI or RFPs. Okay, generally RFIs is for more the information sort. For example, for automotive industry, I want to know in depth about a vendor. I can circulate those information to 20 different vendors, right? But we may not be having a capacity to deal business with all 20. So we are trying to restrict or narrow down our approach to only 10 vendor. Okay, because we want to understand what is their price of any goods which they can give to us, right? So RFPs can be a like game changer, basically, for if you want to initiate RFP online. Okay, because you might have word of many, in the market, e-tender, right, or e-auction. So those are the capacities of Ariba sourcing. Okay, as of now, Ariba has launched a kind of a new UI, that is guided sourcing. Okay, brand new UI UX, and many new features are introduced in this module, which we gonna deal. Okay, or which we are gonna learn in this session. Okay, then we have contract management. After, once we award any RFP, once we like finalize that, hey, I want to go ahead with this price with this vendor, we should have some legal contract, right? Or we should have some MSA and different SOWs. Okay, that a kind of a working like defined path, that we should sign a contract, right, with a vendor. We should have some legal contract to go ahead and do some mandatory clearances, right? So those, all those is actually getting defined in the contract module, SAP Ariba contract module. Okay, all these features are also, all these module can get integrated with S4 HANA. with middleware called Managed Gateway for Spend and Network, or CIG. Okay. Ariba risk management is again a different module altogether for the maintaining relationship between buyer and supplier. Okay, what is going around in the globe? Like there are different certifications which can be leveraged to forecast certain risk beforehand with that vendor, or some disruption is gonna happen. So what level of disruption can happen? It's just the forecast, the risk management comes a kick in. Okay, so this is all about Ariba upstream module. Okay, we just also discuss about the Ariba downstream module. Okay, Ariba downstream module is usually preferred or usually done for the indirect procurement. Okay, so within Ariba downstream, there can be multiple sub modules, what we can say that, or a kind of a standalone module. Ariba buying. Ariba buying is only for the P2O or P2R. Okay, purchase requisition to order, or purchase requisition till receipt. Again, why different modules? Because you know how SAP like pricing of the Ariba can differ. So for example, for buying it can be some slightly more fee, less fee, right? For buying and invoicing can be more fees. Okay, so it depends on how your customer or your business has subscribed, right? For buying and invoicing, it's a whole P2P, whole end to end, requisition to payment, that is coming in this. Okay, buying and invoicing concepts. Only for the catalog management, for maintaining your different, what you say, services or goods or material as a kind of hosting on your Ariba platform. We have two kind of a catalog we call static or punch out. Static is nothing but all of your data will be directly hosted on Ariba platform. Okay, or the punch out is actually everything is hosted on the supplier or a different marketplace. You can consider your eBay or Amazon, right? Or any different vendor which they are having their own capacity. If they are so tech savvy, they can have their own website, and Ariba can seamlessly get integrated between catalog management as well as their different website, and all the data can be stored in their own website. Obviously we can have leverage to procure this material as a kind of uh, in our purchase requisitions. Okay, so those can be held together, so that is what we call catalog. Okay, so different concept altogether called for the direct procurement, where only S4 HANA and SAP Business Network gets involved. Okay, so there is no direct connection between uh, different like Ariba upstream or downstream. They can have their standalone procurement we called Ariba Commerce Automation or Ariba Supply Chain Collaboration. Okay, Ariba Commerce Automation offers you PO collaboration without any special purchase order. Okay, for example, your purchase order, order confirmation, advance ship notice, or goods receipt or invoicing, if only this concept is gonna deal, then we have commerce automation. That's like customer usually prefer. But if they want to send their special purchase order, for example subcon, consignment, or multi-tier purchase order, along with that forecast collaboration or vendor inventory or quality collaboration, those are actually have a different pricing segment of Ariba we called supply chain collaboration. Okay, because it's all depend on the fees or the license cost. Okay, so this is what we dealt about. Okay, and obviously SAP Business Network is a common platform across each, and for integration for across all the module, we have managed gateway for spend and network. Okay, so this will be slightly more technical. Okay, like I think I should have. So why technical? Because this may involve your concept of mappings, okay, connectivity, okay. So it doesn't need to have a proper coding language. Having said that, if you are okay with cxml, some troubleshooting or configuring the cxml part, or slightly mapping, if you know, like very concept like if else condition, for loop, right? So those will be very much helpful for you to learn CIG going forward. If you do not have, no need to worry altogether, because it is not so, and because obviously we cannot write a code altogether, but we can just drag and drop. It's a, kind of a drag and drop features are there for mapping. Okay, in the CIG. Okay, for custom mapping, by the way, because believe me, 90% of your requirement will be ease and smoothly. You do not need to worry much on the middleware, but slight for few business tweak, we may need to have custom mapping. Okay, so that could be your all the integration related activities we need to come in, help get in CIG. Okay, so this is a common middleware for your upstream or downstream, or even your commerce automation or supply chain collaboration. Okay, so this is what we learned in past 1.5 hour. Okay, if you all are comfortable, then we will deep dive on the SLP. Okay, so let me know. Yeah.
I'm good,
Okay.
Manish.
Yeah, go ahead, Manish.
Yeah. Okay,
Yes, fine.
thanks. Okay, so for this, how we are gonna drive, I will tell you. Okay, so first we'll try to go with some slide, and we'll also try today only, we'll try to show the screen of SAP Ariba SLP, how to create a brand new vendor. Okay, so let me just quick start. So we'll deal with the introduction. Okay, uh, Ariba supplier management capabilities, the benefits of SLP, and then the dashboard, because it's very important. We have some 360 profile we call, okay, in Ariba world, just to view a vendor, like they're in and out. Okay, so we have 360 profiles, okay, 360-degree profiles. Okay, and then we'll also deal on the life cycle processes. Okay, what are different uh, analogy, or what are different life cycle of a vendor end to end, from getting started with request till deregistration. Okay, or dequalification, we will deal all with that. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, first of all, what is SLP, or what is supplier life cycle performance? Okay, again, it's a kind of a tool, or a kind of a management, where we have given, Ariba has provided us to onboard, qualify, or even try to segment the vendors according to their, like what category they are falling on. Okay, for example, they may be from different part of the globe. For example, they will do business only on America's region, right? They may not be doing some reason for some category. For example, if a logistic vendor cannot give me manufacturing products, okay, so we can segment them, or we can distinguish a vendor among different categories altogether, based on their shipping capabilities or any other concept, right? So SAP Ariba gives a feature, or a kind of a tool to onboard, to qualify them, or to segment them, or even send this data, whatever we have collected, directly to S4 HANA as a kind of a touchless process. We should not have, because in S4 HANA world, or SAP ECC world, you might have used a concept called BP, business partners, right? Or XK01, maintaining vendor, right? So those are actually not required going forward if we have Ariba SLP integrated with our S4 HANA or SAP ECC. Okay. So the primary goal of SLP is to reduce the cost. At the same time, we have to mitigate any supplier risk. Okay, so that is how the objective of this SAP Ariba SLP is. Okay, so as of now, what is the different challenges we face? Okay, for example, I am the vendor onboarding team. I'm also from the procurement guy, where we need to segregate a vendor based on their, what you say, that different segmentation, okay, or different qualification processes, or different what is it, onboarding qualification criteria or mechanism, right? As of now, across the globe, there are few challenges which is getting faced by the your procurement team, okay, or the procurement department. Okay, so few things can, you can just think of, there are many ways, right, which is actually inconsistent. Because for onboard a vendor, we have multiple form, right, which vendor needs to fill and send back to you form of email, right? So that is not required, okay, coming from SLP. If you have SLP, you can directly, come on Ariba platform and try to fill your all the mandatory data in a step by step manner, and then you can get started, right? So that is how it is gonna. Few challenges can be like out of the date vendor master with complex and duplicate data. You might have, if you are in Ariba, like, SAP world, there can be many a vendor which is having the duplicate entries, right? Just because of, some mistake by some human error can happen, right, or some system error may happen, and data can be redundant, right, or it can be a duplicate, right? In that scenarios, it becomes very difficult to segregate. Because, for example, your organization is having 10 years or 20 years or even 30 years in SAP. Just think of the volume of data which is very much redundant, and you just cannot delete at a random pace, right? In production, if you delete, and you never know, right, what is gonna fail, right? So that is a few challenges in the procurement world as of now, okay, to manage duplicate data of the vendor. Okay, again, there can be, we have to difficult to get, comprehensive view of supplier. For example, suppliers can have multiple sourcing project, okay, a supplier can have multiple purchase order, a supplier can have multiple contract in a single view or a single UI. You cannot have all those in a single, because you may need to have so much of customization in your S4 HANA or SAP ECC to deal all this circumstances, right? this will this is all gonna, get alleviate if you go with SLP as a process. Okay, similarly, there are many things, there are many information which are not very much, related with your actual business. Okay, so which leads to some risk, okay, or there is some chain supply chain disruption can happen due to some incorrect business decision. Because if exact data is not given to your, procurement leader, for example, they may not have the correct decision, to make. So that is a few potential challenges in this world as of now. If I move to, supplier management capabilities, what SLP is trying to offer you, straight away it starts from onboarding. Okay, so supplier can initiate their own profile, or they can initiate, like self service network supplier profile. They can start if they have a proper URL with them, okay, which is shared to them. Then they can initiate their onboarding process on Ariba network directly. Okay, and then it is the vendor master integration. For example, all the data which is getting properly qualified, or if they are properly registered, okay, on the Ariba platform, the sync will happen smoothly, like, with S4 HANA, okay, or your backend system. Okay, it is always not for S4 HANA. You can just think of like that as well, because Ariba has capacities to deal with another or other ERP system. For example, Oracle, they can get navigated to, or even the JD Edwards. Okay, so even the Pega. Okay, but we'll focus more on S4 HANA because that is the future. Okay, which Ariba is also trying to go ahead. So that is how the sync will happen. Okay, there is no manual as of now. If it is everything is on the approver all the approval workflow will be driven in SAP Ariba itself. So you need not, as a vendor onboarding team, you need not to go to system. For example, Ariba once and again on the S4HANA or ECC, right? That will be taken care by integrations altogether. So that is how vendor master integration will take place. Okay, the segmentation, for example, you have all the flexibility of to determine a vendor based on their commodity code or their region or their the services they can afford, right? So you can segment or qualify a vendor. For example, I want to qualify a vendor for Arizona, right? For that state, right? For that state I have only few certification which is actually passed, so I can have a leverage in my SAP Ariba SLP solution to segment or to distinguish a vendor based on the state level, right? So that is how we can segment a vendor. The flexibility is like any way you can, at any dimension you can do it. So that is how you can think of. Okay, and their continuous performance, right? So you want to evaluate a supplier based on their risk appetite, right? Or like how their performance is. For example, how much they are on time delivering the goods or products, or even just think from supplier angle. So like my buyer is giving all the payment dues in a clearance or not. So those level of tracking, right? So the performance can be based on KPIs, right? Key performance indicator. So we can determine all the KPIs in the system, and then we can evaluate as a real time a vendor, right? So that is how the risk management also comes in. All the compliance check. For example, a vendor must be having certain level of certified or certification should be in place, right? For insurance, you can just think of, or the uh, for example, the licensing is there perfect or not, like up till which year they are licensed for doing a business in which state, right? So those level of uh, ground clearances or governance, the compliance check should be also there. So those mechanism can also be in place in SLP. We can manage those as well. Okay, so coming back, so this is a 360 degree view of your supplier, so you can do all in a single UI. Okay, so this is what SAP Ariba SLP is all about. Moving on, the benefits. Okay, so if you think of the visibility, right? The visibility of supplier information, performance and risk. Okay, so if I talk on the metrics, okay, 5 to 6% is the lower cost of the goods sold, okay, or 15 to 20% higher revenue growth. So at a long term, these are the metrics given by few of the like Gartner or different service agencies. Okay, so what I'm trying to mention over here is that the visibility will rise altogether, okay, of the supplier data, which will make your procurement leaders to take a decision very important, how they are decisive, okay, in terms of their decision making policies, right? Because this is driven by your policies as well, right? So they will improve the contract adherence or compliance. Okay, for example, a vendor, if they are not licensed to perform any business in certain area, for example, they are not eligible for the doing business in Texas. Okay, so they have to be slightly more uh, give their all the certification in SLP system, right? Based on them, they can be automatically disqualified or they can be automatically qualified. So those things are possible in SAP, Ariba SLP. Okay, so all the like they can improve the corporate responsibility or procurement purpose, right? So those things can be more effective, okay, if you try to incorporate SLP. Okay, all the digitization and the improvement of the efficiency. What I just mentioned, if you recollect, the onboarding process of vendor is totally on the Ariba network, right? So you need not to have sent endless email, hey, please change this data, or you have to give this import mandatory data. So no need to have back and forth email, right, between your vendor onboarding team as well as the supplier. Okay, so that is all. We can seamlessly configure our system accordingly. Our SLP data will shape up. Okay, so these are the few key benefits of SAP Ariba Supplier Management. Coming to the dashboard, so let me try to walk you the dashboard right now. I believe my this screen is visible, like Ariba UI. If you can just confirm me.
Yes.
Yes, we can see.
Oh, okay, thanks. So first of all, if you have a Ariba platform, I believe you will be given the all this access, obviously. So you should have a URL like this, okay, and you will have your own user ID and password. Okay, you need to give it and try to click on sign in. Okay, so it may ask you for MFA. Again, it is not mandatory for another, it totally depends how your securities team has set up your system. Okay, in the user management, I will try to walk you through this as well, right? There are different ways to uh, log into Ariba. There can be single sign-on. Okay, there can be standalone user ID password. There can be corporate user ID password as well. Okay, so those I will take care in the next upcoming sessions. Okay, the moment you log in, okay, few things you have to be very much careful about. First thing is the production and the test. Okay, if you have hyphen T, okay, if you see the realm, each customer will be given their own unique realm. Okay, for example, this customer or this website is having Professor DSAP. Okay, so this is the realm name. Hyphen T denotes it is a test site. Okay, in bold or test red font, it will be written test site. But if it is missing hyphen T, it's a production. Okay, production will not have this. Even prod will not be written or prod site will not be written. It will be simply blank. Okay, so hyphen T will be missing and this is also not there. Okay, so that is the key differentiator between test instance or the production instance. Okay, the few things more will be for example, which data center you are belonging. For example, this client Professor DSAP is belonging to Australia region. There are 8 to 10 data center at this point the moment I talk, because Ariba is trying to enhance their hardware capacities, and they are trying to set data realm across the globe. Okay, as of now there are 8 to 10 data center. Okay, so this is the first dashboard. Okay, if I talk mainly about our SLP or supplier management, so you may not find SLP as a word. So supplier management is the module which is SLP. Okay, so that is how supplier management, either you click from more and come to supplier management over here, or from here. Okay, and one more important thing which I want to pay attention. So this is again this sourcing. Okay, so in Ariba you might have just you might be aware, as of now there are two things, upstream or downstream. So the URL is the key differentiator. For example, you have directly came as a different URL. Okay, because URL can be different. I'm just trying to switch and then I will try to explain why. Okay, so you may have directly logged in as a buyer. Okay, or you may directly in the child realm concept. Okay, so if you see this C1, it's the parent or the child. Okay, so C1 is the child. Okay, and the buyer denotes the downstream portion, all of your procurement or the catalog or purchase acquisition, right? The invoicing, so those are actually in the downstream or the buyer. Your SLP, sourcing or contract, usually, or like majority of the time it will be on the upstream. Okay, so we have to be always make sure that we are at the correct URL. Sourcing is the differentiator. Okay, and it should be hyphen test, it should not be like C hyphen C1 hyphen test. Okay, this is a child site, and this is a parent. If you see, this is a parent website, we call. Okay, in the supplier management we will have all the capacities of like viewing our, this is a dashboard of SLP, you can just think of like that. Okay, so I'm just going back to my slide before I explain further. Yeah, so the dashboard I just try to mention about the supplier management. So we have search bar, okay, in the SIPM or the SLP. Okay, what content, like basically there can be many levels of document, right? So we can view all those in the my document section. And if I am a part of any uh, questionnaire or any document which needs my approval, okay, basically you will be having your own account, right? So what to do list, basically if you are a part of any group and that group needs to approve something or reject something, okay, so those will be visible in the to do section. Okay, so this is a slide, a dashboard, what how it looks like. Okay, coming back to slide more deep dive in the dashboard. Okay, so we have obviously the search bar. You can search irrespective of anything. For example, you just know the name, you know the country code or only the vendor ID, right? Or only your S4 HANA vendor BP, the business partner ID, so that is we called ERP ID, or whatever the contact name or email. So irrespective of anything, it's a fuzzy search. Okay, so it will be given all the search bar capacities. Okay, it will try to search based on your whatever you have given, or the data what you have given. So it automatically identifies and it will try to give the best search whatever is possible with the data what you might have given. Okay, so again, the 360 profile, the supplier, the moment you have a supplier in front of you, so you can view all the data or the different transactions done by that supplier within from the same URL. Okay, so that is how the 360 profile is. And there are many more concept in 360 profile which I'm trying to give you in this in next few in the next few minutes. Okay, so the my activities area which I just try to show that if anything is in your to do or the approver list. Okay, so what documents you are presently working on, so those you can have in the my activities area. Okay, so again, the suppliers area, for example, what suppliers are up to as of now. So what at the stage is, if they have given the questionnaire in the correct format or not. So where they are lying, at which stage of the registration. So those area you can also have it. Okay, in front of you when you try to log in. Coming more on the search filter, let me try to give you in the screen itself the search filter. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so how to search any vendor, either you type a name or simply click on search. Okay, this will give all the results. You can add filter or basically whatever the qualification status, it's just the filter what you might have seen in a different e-commerce portal, you can just think of, right? So what is the category, like commodity codes, the regions. Okay, the department. Okay, so what is the category status, platinum, gold, silver or bronze. So depend on whatever, like the registration example. So I will just select not invited as of now. So there are 529 results, right, based on this filter. So this is one of the way to view anything, okay, over here. Similarly, if I go, how many of my vendors are registered? Okay, so you can have a leverage to add the filters based on whatever you feel is right. That is one thing. The another thing is within qualification status you can manage the filter. Okay, so if you feel that something is missing in this left refined results, you can add it over here as well. Okay, and then you can also try to search to narrow down your result. Okay, so let's start with the this vendor. Okay, this is the 360 profile which I was talking about. Okay, so this will give the initial details, the what is the name of the vendor. Okay, what are different ID. I will try to explain. There are four types of ID, okay, which we can have it. So okay, in the summary page, if you see, it's a quick UI view of what this is the present status, the registration status of a vendor, what is the qualification status, like how much onboarding time they took, what is the preferred status, and what is the ERP integration. For example, if they are sync with our S4 HANA or not. So those level of details is quickly visible. Again, I mentioned there are four different types of IDs. Those are also visible at the first. In the right hand portion, their important contact details, email ID, phone number, or the mobile number. If they have multiple contacts, okay, those are also visible in this kind of a toggle or a kind of a tab, you can say like that. So what is their address? If they have the risk management, all the risk categories, regulatory and legal, so financial, operational. Okay, if you recollect, I mentioned, right, Ariba risk. So those are actually getting tied up over here. Okay, so how many sourcing event this vendor has done as of now, how many RFPs, for example, they have been circulated to, and they are at which stage. So those are visible in the 360 profile over here. If there is no contract, so they may not appear, but still, if any contract might have been published or they have been created, you can just think, so those data will appear over here. Okay, so this is a 360 profile, how it looks like. So each tab has their own significance. Okay, so which I'm gonna explain you. Just a minute. Before that, let's again go back to our PPT. So I think we just covered this up, the refinement of the results or the search filter. We can, tweak based on our requirement. Okay. So yeah, the next and very important is the supplier IDs. So there are four types of ID. As of now, any doubt you have, guys? Anyone? Yeah.
No.
Okay. So as we have four different type of supplier IDs. The first is SM vendor ID. Okay, this is the ID which is actually given by Ariba as a sequential, as a number range. Okay, so that is again generated straight away from Ariba. We have no control on it. Okay, the moment a vendor is created, okay, so this number will get assigned to a vendor at a unique as a kind of a unique number. Okay, it will be visible in the 360 profile. And unified vendor model. So unified vendor model is nothing but the another way of calling 360 profile. Okay, the ERP vendor ID, this is coming from your business partner number or BP number of S4 HANA or SAP ECC, the vendor number basically. Okay, the moment you try to sync your data, you try to send your or what you are trying to integrate between SAP Ariba to S4 HANA system, that number will be pulled from S4 HANA. If it is successfully generated, it will be pulled from the buyer's ERP, that is nothing but the S4 HANA. Okay, and those number range is again determined by your functional consultant maybe. Okay, so all the number range and all those are getting pulled from their ERP vendor ID. Okay, Ariba network ID is nothing but a unique number on Ariba network or SAP business network platform. Okay, we called ANID. Again, ANID have a concept of ANID hyphen T or ANID for production. They will have their own Ariba network ID without hyphen T. For test, they will have hyphen T. This will get assigned the moment vendor is trying to have their own account on Ariba network or SAP business network. Okay, the system ID is a kind of a unique, like again a number which is generated by with obviously SAP Ariba system, but this is having a different role altogether. Okay, so this number is we called also ACM ID, Ariba Contract Management ID. If you see, I have mentioned that buyer and sourcing, upstream and downstream, right? So those systems are integrated, within Ariba, we have no role to play it. So this number comes into picture to have all the syncing, all the data, what Ariba is trying to have internally. For example, the buyer, the moment you create a procurement related activities or the purchase requisition, so you must have some supplier, right? So that is a linkage between your upstream, that is the SAP Ariba SLP, and the downstream. So that is called ACM ID or the system ID. Okay, so it's a classic structure. Basically, Ariba previously had a different architecture altogether. Okay, so this is again system generated, and it is actually not visible in the 360 profile. Okay, due to some feature enhancement, we can make it again visible. Okay, that is also there. We can have it visible in 360 profile. So that is a differentiation between the four types of ID. Okay, so if you have any doubt, because it's a very important concept which may have certain, yeah, go ahead.
So yeah, Manish, what is the difference between SM vendor ID and Ariba network ID?
SM vendor ID, I will try to explain you from this. Okay, if you see SM vendor ID is over here, right? So this is a unique S number or SM ID we call. The moment this vendor, okay, this vendor is getting initiated within this Ariba, they will have their unique vendor ID given by the system. But Ariba network ID is having a different, what to say? You might be aware that there are different platform of Ariba. This is one platform, right? For
Okay.
supplier.ariba.com. So this is the SAP business network for the vendor. Okay, the moment they register on this website, kind of a supplier, they will have their own login, right? They will have their own SAP business network. So that is the uniqueness or the number given by SAP business network ANA ID, Ariba network ID we called. Okay,
Okay, and
so hmm,
yeah. So this SM vendor ID generates when we uh, onboard that vendor on Ariba.
yeah, this is the Ariba own website or a kind of a, this is my customer, for example, Professor DSAP. Okay, this is my buyer website, buyer URL link. Okay, buyer supplier management link. Okay, for example, this is a website for my organization for SLP related stuffs. Okay, Ariba network ID is separate, all different system altogether. Okay, this is one system, this is another system. Okay, supplier will have credential only on this website, right? And then they can navigate from Ariba network to our our professor DSSAP website. So that is a key differentiator. This is given by your buyer, like buyer spend management. This ANID is across the globe. It is always unique. Okay. Even for example, Veena Enterprises is having a connection or a business with 5 different buyer. ANID will be unique for them, but SMID will differ based on different customer. You getting?
Okay. Mhm, yeah.
Yeah. So this again, ERP ID can be obviously it will be unique based on the S4 HANA you have
Yeah,
been navigated to. So that is always a
certainly.
unique. Yeah. Initially
And
VDR number will be there, but going forward, when the ERP integration status is successful, the actual number, like 10 character LIFNR, right, LIFNR, or we called the vendor number, right, from the LFA1 table or LFB1 table, so those will be reflected over here.
yeah, okay.
Okay. Any other
I,
doubt on the
I have
supplier
one
ID?
question. Yeah,
Hmm.
not the ID, but as you said, like customer can choose which module they want to use or buy.
Hmm. 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 Hmm.
However, all the modules are somehow interconnected. Example, supplier
Hmm.
management is somewhere
Hmm.
related to the PRPO side of the thing when they are delivering how many invoices are pending, etc. Or it's even also correlated to
Hmm.
your RFPs, contracts, and all those things. So, is if some vendor just chooses one module, that efficiency reduces, right? How is it?
No, 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 no. It is not about the efficiency. Okay. Again, like what is a parameter you are thinking, Amit, that the efficiency may reduce? Like, what is your thought
See,
process? I just want to know.
if someone has used is taking the sourcing part and the supplier management part, just two modules they have using it, but they are managing the PRPO part
Mm-hmm.
manually. So what is the KPI and all those, that data would be missing, right? Because that is not in Ariba, they are doing it manually offline. Only the
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
so in that perspective it reduces, right, little bit, because the data would be missing. I hope I'm
Yeah,
clear.
if you think from end to end, yeah, if you think from end to end, definitely uh, something cannot be, automized based on the license, because obviously, just think from the buyer perspective, right? They have to spend on the IT infrastructure, right? They have now only gone with SLP and sourcing. Okay, based on
Okay.
their, either based on their business requirement, they do not want to purchase a downstream module because they do not have that what to say, either the license fee capacities, or they do not have the proper business justification to procure the appropriate license, correct, from SAP Ariba. In that case, they may be utilizing all the manual, or they may have done some customization within their ERP to have all their downstream processes, right? So it is totally the business challenges or business driven. So there is no what to say, less dependency or the kind of a, because Ariba as a database, there is no capacity that, hey, I want to give you only this level of storage. It is not like that, because everything is on the cloud, right? Usually
Yes.
on the SaaS product or the cloud product, so there is no data level dependencies or database level of depend, there is no infra. In short, there is no infra level of dependencies over here. It is totally at the buyer's will, how they want to drive their procurement ecosystem. You getting the
Fine.
point?
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, many customers, like big like majority of the customers who are very big, have the license cost, they will go for almost all the modules. But again, it should be justifying their business requirement. It should not be like spend, just they are trying to spend on a module which they are never gonna utilize. Okay, I have seen many customer, SAP risk management for them, they are not utilizing in a good, the moment they are trying to utilize SLP compared to that. So right, so why they will pay for Ariba risk management, right? Because it's a
Yes.
licensed product. Every what is it, every year SAP is gonna give a bill, right? 300K or 400K. So you can just think, right? At the end of the like December, you may be having a invoice from SAP which is charging you n number of dollars for a product which you're not trying to utilize. So it is a strategy, a business should have which module they want to procure.
Fine, it's clear.
Yeah, yeah. Coming back to our just a minute. Yeah. So we were over here in the 360 profile. We have some areas. 1 minute. Yeah, just a minute. So we have many profile. Okay, the summary section, I just tried to cover that. The contacts, the ERP data, public profile, certificate registration, qualification preferred, questionnaire and processes. So let's take straight away to the screen instead of this. Okay, so if you see, this is the profile area which is talking in the previous slide what I was talking about. The summary is looking like this. The moment I click on summary, this is how it is all about. Okay, if I click on contact, a different page or a different tab will open. Okay, so if you see, there are different name, okay, or the contacts for a vendor, for an enterprise vendor, for example Veena Enterprises, they have different point of contact. Okay, the star denotes that this is a primary primary contact for this vendor. Okay, so they will, you can altogether create a supplier contact. Okay, you can provide the first name and other important details which is mandatory, that is, you have to fill and click on save. So accordingly they can have multiple contact. Okay, so this is responsible for sending all of your RFPs or all of your registration questionnaire, because there are many questionnaire which needs to be filled by this vendor for the first time to get onboarded. Okay, so this is the primary person, it will be sent automatically. Okay, but if you want to send to a different person, you need to have the selection to send this to vendors, to different contact of this vendor. Okay, so there are many things like type, an status is it private or public for the first time. Okay, so for example, the first time this contact is trying to have a conversation or have a transaction on our buyer profession, DSSAP. The first time it will be private. The moment they onboard on Ariba network ID, they're gonna switch back to our public AN status. Okay, so those things are there. These are like segmentation based on the region, category and department. Okay, so they are gonna define for different, for example, for Asia Pacific, this person may be the first point of contact, right? For EMEA region or Europe region, you can think of this person may be the point of contact. So you can have different segmentation on the contacts as well. Okay, so moving on to ERP data. So whatever you might have think of your SAP knowledge, you can apply over here. Okay, all of your key vendor vendor information. So those four IDs what I mentioned, those will be over here. Okay, so what is a bank information? Okay, so you can collect the bank information from a vendor on SAP Ariba SLP platform. Okay, and this can be sent to your S4 HANA uh, as well. Okay, so taxation information. Okay, like other extended vendor information, like what is the category code, the release indicator, maintenance profile code. I think people who are from background, they might be able to correlate, because there are some profile code, right, which needs to be given to create a vendor, right? So those things like email addresses, or the extension address, so those things are identified, and these are actually getting captured either by the vendor directly or our internal stakeholder, because there are many person, for example accounting department, they are responsible for giving the GL account details. Okay, general ledger for example, right? Or different accounting group. So our internal stakeholder, meaning my procurement teams, okay, or my business stakeholder who are from AP team, accounts payable team, they should also come and submit some data, right? So those data as a form of company code, okay, which company code this vendor should be assigned to. Vendor may not be knowing your company code, right? Because it is your internal like issue, right? Your internal like all the data are company codes, this level your vendor may not be knowing. So your AP team should know which company code this vendor should belong to. It can have multiple company codes, by the way. Okay, similarly general ledger GLID, so that needs to be given. So this is all payment term, all this can be assigned to a vendor on the company code profile in the ERP data. Okay, similarly we can have purchasing data, which purchase org, this vendor should be determined. Okay, so if there are multiple purchase org, this may be some data issue. Okay, because this website is actually there are many uh, training or trainees are using this website, so this can be a data issue. But what I'm trying to say, there can be multiple purchase org which can be given to or assigned to this particular vendor. Okay, so this is again a different partner function. You might be aware, like invoicing party or ordering address, right? Or the freight, all those partner function can be assigned at this level. There can be two things. Either it can be manually done or automatically if you want to assign the partner function always, for example, in invoicing party. So those we can automatically configure as well. Okay, coming back to the certificate portion, the certificates. Okay, what I mentioned, if you recollect, vendors should have some capacity to upload their certificate, ISO certification or any other certification. It cannot, it is not only confined to ISO, it can be any type of certification a business can have, right? So those are uh, given over here. Okay, so you can also download the certification, like what is the certification number, which is the mandatory field. So those level of configuration you can have it over here. Okay, as of now, any doubt? Okay, so this page is also giving in the red font that hey, this certificate might have expired, right? So you have to take certain precautionary steps. Okay, so you can configure, for example, this certificate is getting expired, it can be email notification sent by the system to the buyer as well as the supplier. Okay, so that is how this certification role, certification area plays a big role actually. Activity log, for example, so this is a key, a kind of a all the logs, which person or which user has done what, the kind of activity, what they have done at which stage. Okay, so those what details they can, or what title of the document they have played upon. So those things you can either search it if you want to troubleshoot anything. Okay, so this is an area where it helps very much as a consultant, because many times business will say that we have not done that, right? Or this is somehow it is stuck somewhere. So you can come and check the 360 profile and go to activity log, and then you can troubleshoot it from here. Okay, if your risk profile is activated, or if your customer has SAP Ariba risk management, then this will come. Otherwise it is not obviously the coming, because this data is actually missing from here. Okay, So what business activity? For example, this vendor is involved for 2 RFI, okay, event type. So those things are there. And what is the status of those RFI? So again, so without login to each sourcing request, for example, this is the ID of a sourcing request. Without login into this, if you have just the vendor name or vendor number, you can come and see what is a different sourcing business activity done on this vendor and what is the status. So it's again very helpful for the business to take certain strategy decision. Okay. So this is a supplier request. Okay, the moment, when we initiate a supplier request, okay, so what all the data was given to this, okay, to this performer, so those are visible over here, and who has approved it, so those data are actually visible over here. Okay, similarly, when the registration happened, okay, a different process called registration. So again, so different processes there. Okay, request is one process, registration is one process, qualification is one process, and questionnaire we call modular questionnaire or MQ. So those are the different processes. Okay, and even disqualification is one of the process. Okay, so in that process, who has invited, at what time, so those things are there, and what task needs to be performed, and what questionnaires are there, so those you can view in this section. Okay, so this again slightly important. The more important is this, the current template version. You might be aware that based on your configuration setting, we have different version of the templates. All the configuration is driven by some template or some skeletal, you can think of. I think template I will take in the next session, next Saturday. Okay, but this is slightly important because this data is driven on which template, right? And what is the previous templates as well. Usually in production, it is a very clean, neat system. You will not have this many version. Okay, simply because this is a training system. This will, you will find n number of template version, but in production it will hardly go to version 1 or version 2, or even beyond, based on your business requirement. But it will be very much important to pay attention, because if the moment you change the version, you may need to change the uh, your past vendor as well. Okay, so that is also slightly important. Okay, so the process flow as of now, for example, this vendor is invited and it is stuck in registration process. Somebody is waiting for approval, right? So all this configuration will be driven by that, like if it is a serial, parallel, which kind of approval workflows are there. Okay, so you can see it is pending with whom, project owner or the category manager. Okay, so like which is the person responsible, which is the user ID responsible, so those things you can view in this process flow. Okay, at many times business will try to ask, I am not able to view my it is not in my queue, right? So you may need to come and troubleshoot and find a person who has asked, okay, in a kind of a like a business, that they are belonging to which group. If they are not belonging to their group, so definitely it is not going to lie in their approval matrix, right? So those thing kind of a troubleshooting you can think of. Okay, so this is a slightly data issue again, because if you see straight away it is registered, because somebody might have been outplayed the system and they have registered altogether. Okay, so this is not a real time data again, because if you see invited in registration then registered altogether, so if these steps are missing, it is impossible. But there are some exception which has been done on this vendor. Okay, so this is one of the 360 profile which I wanted to showcase. Different qualification, if I just navigate to or click on qualification, based on what category, what region, or what business unit. Okay, category is nothing but the commodity code. Commodity code, I think it is the, again, you might be aware of material group. It is one of the unique categorization. Okay, so to determine any of the business process, so for this category and for this region, for example, here it can be, for example, it can be, for example, North America, or EMEA region, or again it can be some country level. Okay, for example, USA, or Spain, whatever you can think of. So the region can be based on the uh, group of something, or it can be standalone. Okay, so the status, the qualification might have been started, what is the end date, what action you can perform. Okay, you can re-invite if it is, if the qualification has been expired. So those things you can do, or you want to qualify all together as for a new category or for a new region, you can play on that area as well. So this is a 360 profile what I was talking about. The questionnaire, we call modular questionnaire, the extra data which we want to capture from a vendor as a part of our business requirement, those you can also, send them and try to capture the data from them. So this is what the SLP migration or the SLP UI looks upon. If you have any doubt, please let me know. Okay, so you people are understanding, right? So it is not the full bouncer. I just want to understand that part.
Well, there I want to raise my hand,
Yeah.
being a novice. And thank you so much, Manish. You are doing a very good job to me as a layman who is like listening Ariba for the first time. My question here is, do we have the study material, something so that we can refer after the class is over? Because I'm not someone who listens and grabs everything 100%. I need to work hard. I need to make notes. My kind of study. So it would be wonderful if we are, having some sort of things,
Yeah,
materials
yeah,
to refer.
Bilasha. What I'll be doing is like I'll be coordinating with you on that regard. Okay, so
Okay.
that's really going to be helpful for you. So
Mm-hmm.
this anyways, tomorrow we are going to share all the recordings and the PPTs which we have shown in the this one today's session. Tomorrow, sorry, for the next one, we are definitely going to share with you. Okay, all the things.
Okay.
And
And the
the for
next
the
session
study
is
material
tomorrow.
for sure. No, no, not tomorrow. Is going to be on next Saturday. Okay.
Bravo. Yeah.
Yeah, so the material which you are asking, I'll be sharing with you, which are going to clear your basic concepts and other things as well, because a lot of things like RFP, RFX, you might be totally unaware of those things. I'll be sharing one
Absolutely.
SAP press book, okay, to you. And this press book is available there in the drive also, the study material. Anybody can refer to that, okay? So that will give you basic understanding how procurement works with regards to SAP. Okay, with regards to, I can say Ariba. That's a lot of conceptual thing, basic things. You can make it very clear on that part. Okay, for sure we'll be sharing with you. Okay,
That's
yeah,
great. Thank you. Thank you, Raj.
no problem. And guys, don't worry. Today we are just having a proper recap of all the things. We are just trying to understand the UI and other aspects also.
Mm-hmm.
Going forward, we are going to take an example and we are going to create a proper SLP project as well. Okay, so that you'll get a clarity on this part more.
Thank you.
Okay. So I think we already covered this part. Majority of the things, if you see, it's already, we covered it for today. The summary portion. Okay. And the contacts we have gone, and try to navigate what level of details we can give it. Okay, again, the 360 profile of the contact area, this is trying to mention a contact status you can also approve, because Just think from a vendor. I want to onboard one of my colleague, right, who will do all the data part. So I need to also approve it, right? The contact cannot have like blind spot, right? As a buyer, you should be approving a contact as well, right? So those things are also there. The status of a contact can also be approved, pending approval or denied. Okay, so that is one of the extra thing. Coming to the another portion, ERP data we covered up. Okay, so the public profile, so how this is on the Ariba network profile, how this vendor looks on the Ariba network profile. So those data will also be taken into consideration in our portal, meaning our buyers SLP portal. Okay, so there are few things. If you I think if you for the certificate portion, if you might have seen that there are different certification, we can have totally full view how it looks like, and we can download the certification as well. Okay, so I just want to ask, this session is for 2.5 hours, or shall we
Yeah, today,
continue?
no, today we'll just end up with 2.5 hours only. By
Okay,
9:30 you can
okay.
finish it because there are a lot of things we have covered.
Hmm. Hmm.
So it's going to be very overwhelming for everyone. So what
Hmm.
I request is like for the day we just wind up the session, and
Okay.
guys, the recordings and everything will be shared to you, to everyone, by tomorrow Indian time approximately by 11 you'll be having, and also our team will be there to coordinate with you to create the different folders. They'll be showing you how the recordings and other documents are going to be arranged, and you can access them. Okay, and of course there are certain materials also we are going to share with everyone of you so that you can clear your concepts with respect to the this one. I think Nitin and Shrishir is also there, right? All you
Right. Yeah.
guys are there, so for you
Yes.
also is going to be a little helpful for you, right?
Yes.
In that regard, yes, yes. So I will be available, guys. You can take my number over here. You can, for any technical aspects, you can just connect to me. I'm just putting my number over here. +91 840 8878 222. So this number is available both on WhatsApp and direct call. You can reach me out if at all you need any help. Otherwise, my other team members will be there. Deepali is there, who is responsible for the recordings, and Netra is there, who is responsible for taking care of your server access and other things. And that's it. So you can reach me out if any of the issues are not being addressed properly. You can reach me out anytime, or our team is going to well coordinate with you going forward.
Okay, so tomorrow we are not meeting. I'm just confirming.
Yes, this is only the weekend sessions.
Yes.
Going to happen only on Saturday and Sunday. So the next session would be on 4th and 5th of January next year.
Perfect.
Next month, yeah.
I think third and fourth, right? Third and fourth, not
One
fourth
second.
and
Sorry. I'm just seeing
yeah.
the December calendar is
Yeah.
January. I need to see it. Yeah. You are right, Manish. I'm so sorry. Yeah. So you're right. So January is going to be on 3rd and 4th of January is going to be the next session. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
For today, I think we only left for two slide. Okay. I think we'll
Mhm.
catch up in the next session if you're all okay. Okay. And do let me know how was the session. If you have any feedback where you want, like the session to be in the fast mode or the slow mode, or the pace was fine, just do let me know right now. Okay, which I will try to work if you have any issues today.
Yep. For me, the base was fine, Manish, and you really did a great job. Yeah, the explaining was so good, and even I'm quite new to the subject, and I'm totally getting what you're saying.
Mhm. Okay,
Yeah.
that's yeah, nice to hear that. I think you will correlating more the moment you will, try to see in the screen instead of the boring slide, which I also don't want to. But I want guys to understand. That is, you have to,
No, that's very
understand
important
the
also,
yeah.
Manish. Yeah, that is very important because directly if we are jumping into the, because our methodology is the same going to be, because we are going to explain the conceptual things first, because how good you are conceptually, that much clearly you can understand the configuration, guys, going forward.
For me, I mean, I would like to jump in for the first. For
For sure.
me, examples would be like, like a daily life examples or the basic examples would really
Mhm.
work wonders for me to be able to easily grab everything.
Correlate. Yes.
Yeah, to correlate. Okay, okay, acha, this is happening. Okay, here it comes because.
Sure, sure. I think, yeah, because I thought majority of you are from the procurement, uh,
Mhm.
background, maybe. So you could
No,
have related, but anyways, we'll try to, you know,
No, I just want to
re-indulge.
brief you, Manish,
Mhm.
again. Abhilasha is not from procurement. Nitin
not
and
at all.
Shrishish. Yeah,
Okay.
Nitin and Shrishish also not. Abhilasha is having a very good experience. Okay, she's the product owner and she's having a very vast experience in IT. But with respect to procurement side, she is considered to be a novice. Okay, I'll be working with you very closely, Abhilasha, giving you a lot of aid to learn the things in a faster fashion, and hope in the coming sessions you can well catch up with the other participants as well. Yeah,
Oh, thank you. That's very thoughtful, Airaj. Thank you.
yeah, welcome. My pleasure. So, all right, guys. So, I hope it
Okay.
was a
We'll
wonderful
take it
session.
forward. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank
It is.
you.
Thank you so much, Manish. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Thank
And
you.
if at all you guys want to give any feedback of the session, also, I'm very much welcome for this one. I put my number over here in the chat window. You can make note of it. And if at all you are required to connect with me, I will be very happy to answer your queries. Yeah. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And thank you so much, Manish,
Thank
for
you.
your
Bye.
patience.
Thank you.